Welcome to the URI transfer for business economics and data analytics. We are fortunate to have Victor Silva from URI, who will be speaking about the transferring for the business economics and data analytics path. So welcome, Victor.
Thank you so much, Cassandra. I really appreciate you having me. If you don't mind, I'm going to share my screen, and I have, I think the best way to show this for students, and thinking about the process is to kind of break it down step by step and how to really navigate our website. But I'm going to touch on all the points that, are certainly going to be important to you folks, in the application process, but then also requirements, for your programs within the College of Business, and then also for economics and data analytics, which actually fall into our College of Arts and Sciences. So there will be some differences there as far as what you need to do or have completed before you transfer. So with that being said, from our main website, we'll make these available too in the chat for folks. And as if you're viewing at a later time on YouTube here, the main website is just uri.edu, and we're going to access the information through our admissions page. So when you get to the main page here, you'll click on admission. And then from there, we'll have to navigate a little bit to get to our specific transfer information, but you'll go to undergraduate admission, and then you'll be taken to our transfer option here. And this is kind of a one-stop shop for transfer. It really breaks down the process for you in general, and that might not reference CCRI specific terms and those kinds of things, but that's okay. I can help you navigate those items. But using this as a reference. So we do have application deadlines for your terms, depending upon where you are in your transfer process or your transfer journey here. Our spring deadline is technically January 10th for folks that are applying for our spring term, which starts the end of January. And then the next term coming up is our fall term, and that deadline is July 27th. So still plenty of time. But a lot of times students will read this and say, oh, okay, I have to apply, or on July 27th, or wait, until I actually have an associate's degree in hand or at the end of the semester. Not the case. You can definitely start the process earlier, and that's definitely something that's, more advantageous to you, because you're allowed at that point to get your decision, get a transfer credit evaluation, start talking about financial aid, housing potentially if students want to live on campus, much earlier than waiting to the middle of the summer, and then it feels more rushed. So this is definitely a better option to get started sooner than later. I encourage students to make appointments with me to discuss your individual transfer process. When I get into the specifics of transfer, it's very transparent, as far as what you need to achieve in order to be admitted to the university. But every transfer student is unique in the classes that they've taken, the experience that they have had. So I think a lot of students benefit from having a conversation of what does transfer mean to me, and I'm happy to do that for you folks. So the first step would be to complete the common application. Some of you might have remembered it out of high school, some of you never may have heard of it, and that's fine. But we have our direct link here from the transfer webpage. So you'll click on the folks scuba diving, go to that second page, and then you're taken to the application. You will be applying as transfer students, so you'll choose the second option here when completing the application. So now if I go back a little bit, since we're talking about College of Business programs and then those other two outliers in the College of Arts and Sciences, I'm going to give you our general admissions requirements, but then also talk specifically about the College of Business. So when you go back out here to our main page, if you scroll down, I'm going to go up here. You scroll down underneath the campus tour, we have our general transfer requirements. We break out your transfer eligibility based on the amount of credits you have. So we first start if you have fewer than 24 transferable credits. You need a minimum GPA, cumulative GPA. So that's at CCRI. If you went to another institution too, you do have to submit all the transcripts for schools you attended. But you need a minimum cum GPA of 2.8 and also meeting the first year admission requirements. Then if you have 24 or more without an associate's degree, the general transfer GPA drops down to a 2.5, but meeting those requirements of units from your high school as well. Then if you have an associate's degree, 2.4 GPA, and you do not need to submit any of your high school documents. So just be the application and your transcript from CCRI. So you might say, Victor, I'm not going to have my associate's degree until May. That's fine. You're projected to graduate, so you can submit what you have now, since you'll be a graduation candidate come May. So these are the general requirements. And now we're going to talk about the College of Business. So for these requirements, Programs like economics, public relations, communication studies, data analytics would follow this criteria. In the College of Business, it is one of our competitive programs. And when you go back out from the general transfer requirements, you'll then go into the competitive program requirements. And those here, you can find the College of Business. And we break it out the same way by credits. So you can see what you need by credit ratio and the GPA. So with less than 30 attempted credits, students must have a 3.0 GPA to be considered for admission and demonstrate these general qualitative and analytical skills. 30 to 60 credits, so without an associate's degree, you have to have one of the required math courses and then missing no more than one of these four courses. So these are the requirements. So when I say one of the maths, you'd have to have either calculus or business statistics, and then missing no more than one of these other courses, you would need to have 3 out of the 4. So microeconomics, macroeconomics, financial accounting, and managerial accounting completed. The programs that don't follow that same criteria right here, textiles marketing and textile fashion merchandising and design. We also have some restrictions in the College of Business of majors students can actually choose. So open majors are management, global business, supply chain management, innovation, entrepreneurship, and accounting. Accounting has specific requirements. Students have to actually have a 3.5 GPA. So again, this sheet is very important when considering transfer admissions to the College of Business. And for us, you have to be accepted directly into the College of Business. If you decide to enroll in another program and then switch majors later on, unfortunately, you would not be able to do that. So it's best to get a leg up on it now to try and take as many of the prerequisites that you may be missing, or if you're not missing any, great, meeting the criteria and then transition, as easily as possible. I do want to note the programs that are not open to transfer students, and those currently are finance, general business, and marketing. I will say for the marketing component, if students are interested in that, our communication studies program is a fantastic option. It falls within the College of Arts and Sciences, and a lot of students will take that and couple it with a business minor. So they're still getting a formal business background, but their specific interests actually might be accommodated a little bit better through the communication studies program and not necessarily marketing. So it's an interesting thing to explore, that your options or your interests might not actually lie in a specific program by name. It might be better suited in another program within the university. So again, the requirements, they're on our website, and we'll make sure that you have access to that. I can explain it again for students that are that schedule appointments with me, and we can discuss your transcripts and courses that you've taken to date. So always something you can do with me further. And then to meet with me, right above that link, there's a link to my calendar, so you can actually schedule an appointment with me. So what I would like to do from our website now, again, I know I'm scrolling a little bit quickly here, but underneath the requirements are our academic majors. So this is actually going to be a list of alphabetical, or the majors alphabetically, right? So you can access everything that the university has to offer when you're exploring. You can click on the find link to find, to actually search for a specific program or keywords, something you might be interested in. But when I pull up, for my sake here, I'm just going to go down a little bit more, bear with me, to our management program. And every major is going to have the same format. So when you click on them and the information I'm giving you, you can look at this. And our management program is actually a Bachelor's of Science in Business Administration, focus in management. So it gives you a description of the program. The nice thing in here is that you can actually see the courses that students take. So what you've taken, from 100 level courses or 1,000 level courses to 2,000 level courses at CCRI. Well, what's in store for you next? So you can take a look at the classes that are offered within the program, something you might want to take as a business elective if you have a special interest, as part of your degree. But this lists everything out. You could search, by specific interest in here as well. They do allow for that when you're searching the course descriptions. So when you go back out, I think another excellent piece of information here, or reference, is going to the actual department website. So going to the College of Business. So when you go in here, you're going to get a lot more specific information as far as what that management degree actually means. So they give you a little bit more robust overview of the program. But then it talks about the curriculum. So what's included in that degree program, kind of like your course catalog, right? So the types of classes you'll be taking, minimum requirements, talking about other opportunities, you know, in your education. So if you wanted to apply for any graduate certificates, post your undergraduate program. Then they talk about beyond the classroom, you know, what students are doing outside. So every student, regardless if you start from first day, you know, right out of high school, you're coming back to school, this is the third school you've been to, you still have the opportunity to have experiential components. And what I mean by that are study abroad opportunities, internships, and there's people to assist you with that. You're going to have an academic advisor assigned to you from the college that assists you with registering and making sure that, you know, you're leaving room for the experiential components that you want to have as part of your degree. Because that's the biggest thing too. You're also building a resume as part of this, right? For those folks that don't have any background, this, you know, you might come right from high school, you know, when employers are interviewing, they're probably looking for experience, right? But how do I get that experience? And this is the opportunity to participate in these things, whether it's research with faculty, connecting with faculty and networking, and that's going to be the next slide, or not next slide, but the next section I go to, so you can see what our faculty have done, where they've been, who they've worked for, things they might have published, and that might really resonate with you and say, wow, this is exactly what I want to do. This person, you know, would be a great mentor to me, and they can be a resource for you here while you're at the university. Clubs and organizations too, talking about that resume, they list them out right here. So Women in Business, Society for Human Resource Management, International Business Club, career-related fraternities and sororities. So a lot of options to be involved here and directed specifically at your major, your focus of study. I really like this tab, the faculty tab, because again, you get to learn a little bit more about who the people are that are actually in front of you and, you know, providing the content to you, right? Our content experts here. So when I click on Dr. Beauvais here, you'll be able to see she posts her actual resume. She has a snapshot of what she's, you know, what she's done in her experience, you know, professional and academic. You know, if I back out to another faculty member, let's just scroll down a little bit. Let me go to one of our assistant members here. A lot of times they'll also list it, you know, if they have it and it's applicable, their research. So what areas of interest are, you know, or specific areas they're interested in. So business ethics, corporate responsibility, where they've studied and where they've actually been published, as I mentioned. So if they were in business journals or if they had their own book, whatever it may be, you can actually see the different things that they wrote and what they contributed to in the professional space. And also our College of Business is AACSB accredited. So it's one of the highest accreditations, you know, a College of Business can actually have. So we're very proud of that, you know, and the prestige of the program. So backing out of this, just to touch on the other areas, since they're, you know, they're listed here and depending upon students' interests, I do want to go to our general list of programs, and I want to go into, I'm going to scroll up to economics because that's going to be our next alphabetically, but I can show you up here, our data science program, data analytics is right above it. So if you want to dive deeper in there, you know where to find it. But in our economics program here, again, this falls within the College of Arts and Sciences, so it doesn't have the same prerequisite coursework that follows our general guidelines. So again, it gives you a snapshot here, the types of courses that you would take as a economics major, and then going again into the department website. So different things you didn't know that you could go into in economics, you know, and people are wondering what is an actual economics degree, and it could go to finance, public policy, law, and education. So it does transcend a lot of different areas that you might not known were options to you. So again, down here, some alumni spotlight, what they're doing with their degrees. It's a great opportunity to double major in here too, or to take a minor formally in business. So again, some more flexibility in here. But the part I really like is seeing who your faculty members are, you know, and what they've done. So I encourage you to take a look at these to see, you know, to see the types of things that they're doing and their past, because again, they're the content experts for you. They're the ones that are actually instructing you through the program. So on top of admissions, you know, what the program actually entails, the courses that you'd be taking, most students want to know how their credits are going to transfer. And you from your CCRI or what, registrar's webpage have access to a similar version of this, but from ours, you could just type in a search engine, URI TES, When you do that, it's going to be the first link that pops up. It's TES Public View Management. So again, it seems kind of cryptic. It doesn't say necessarily URI on the front end there. But when you go in here, we actually have a database of courses that we've entered, that we've accepted for credit in the past from a variety of institutions. You're going to see a lot on there. For us, we would navigate to C here, and then the third page to find Community College of Rhode Island. We have a fantastic working relationship with the Community College of Rhode Island, being a family school in the state, and developed an articulation agreement with CCRI to provide transparency in transferable courses for students, so that you can use this as a resource for you to say, okay, I've taken these classes, how do they transfer over to the university? So a great example is the one that comes up in accounting, when I was mentioning those accounting requirements as part of the core requirements for business programs. If you say to yourself, well, I haven't taken, accounting 1 yet, you know that the requirement when you look at this would be accounting 1010, and you need to take managerial accounting. All right, that's accounting 1020. And then you say, all right, maybe I have those, but I don't have the economics classes. Let me find those. Again, you're going in here, it's pretty simple just to kind of follow through. You could also do a search by name, but you know that Econ 2030 at CCRI is our Econ 201. And the same thing with the math requirements, you could find those there as well. So this is a nice guide for you to understand what you've done and how that'll help you moving forward. Either way, in our process, when a student applies to the university, once they're accepted, I then send your transcripts over to the faculty to be reviewed for transferable credit. So they do this work for you, but you have to be accepted to get that formal credit evaluation. This allows you to go in and kind of get an idea on your own, doing an unofficial evaluation with our equivalencies that we post. Other things to consider are financial assistance, and we do offer merit scholarships for transfer. We have transfer scholarships. Students that meet a minimum of 24 credits and a GPA of 3.3 can be considered for a merit scholarship. We also offer Phi Theta Kappa scholarships. So if you're performing well and you get those emails to join Phi Theta Kappa, which is a community college honor society, it's worth it. It's one of our highest transfer scholarships that we can offer here at the university. And we also offer need-based financial aid. So if you're applying, if you're filling out the FAFSA, you would add URI to it, so that this way, if accepted, once accepted, that information is sent to our enrollment services office so they can provide a need-based financial aid package for you as well. So that's kind of the process in overall here. And Cassandra was great to put those links in here for you to reference in the chat. I'm going to open it up to specific questions for any folks that want to either unmute themselves. Feel free to write it in the chat. And I'm also going to put my email address in here. For those folks that are listening, it's vsilva, so V as in Victor, SILVA @uri.edu. That's my direct email. So if you have questions after the fact and want to follow up, I'm happy to do it. And like I said, it definitely would be worth your while to schedule an appointment with me. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and turn it over to Cassandra. And then again, for any folks that want to ask a question, please feel free to jump on. And if not, I think you're still on mute, Cassandra.
There we go. I got to work on that. All right, welcome on tonight. I apologize if I mispronounced your name. If you have any questions for Victor, feel free to unmute yourself and ask him.
No, I didn't really have too many questions. I think they made a lot of sense. Yeah, I didn't have any questions, sorry.
All right, and you might moving forward, and that's okay, so definitely reach out. Okay,
I will.
Thank you for joining us. For more Pathdays sessions, please visit the CCRI link listed for Pathways/Pathdays. And also I wanted to mention that the Spring 2021 Virtual Job Fair is hosted on Handshake, will be coming up on April 14th between 1 and 4 p.m. And to get some more information on that, please use the link at the bottom of your page. Thank you for joining us, both Victor and Antone, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much. Have a great day, everyone.